Okay, this one's for all the Swifties like me who are conservative. Look at this. Taylor Swift's endorsement turned more voters away from Kamala Harris than it did attract. I also think it's interesting that after she posted, hey, everyone get out and vote, do your research, that over 300,000 people visited the website. That doesn't mean that's how many people registered, but it is clear to me that Taylor Swift is finally understanding that her entire fan base isn't just liberal women who are going to be voting for Kamala Harris, and this proves it. Last week, I just posted a video saying how Kamala Harris and Taylor Swift's endorsement actually doesn't mean as much as you think it does. Celebrity endorsements mean nothing how they used to. It's not even going to move the needle if you ask me. And if you ask me, I think this is just motivating more Taylor Swift fans to start looking at the economy, look at your grocery bill, look how much your gas is, and realize Taylor Swift is still a billionaire. So do you really think that she has your best interest in mind? The answer is no. This is your sign to vote for Trump.
Well, if Taylor Swift thought she was helping Kamala out with her endorsement, she just got some really bad news. We've got the latest on the hilarious backlash that this ultra-leftist pop star is getting for her pathetic endorsement. Also, there's now officially a smoking gun surrounding the ABC News debate. A new affidavit has just surfaced claiming the debate was indeed fixed for Kamala Harris, and it looks like Congress is about to get involved. We've got the latest. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help you stay sane in these insane times. So let me encourage you to smack that bell and subscribe button. Before we dive in here, gang, did you watch that recent debate? I mean, the total bias on display from the moderators is a clear example of how our media environment contributes to division and makes it hard for people to think for themselves. That's why I use Ground News. It helps me see through the noise to form my own opinions. Ground News is a website and app that gathers news from 50,000 sources from around the world so you can stay fully informed on the news of the day and see through media bias and manipulation. Check them out for yourself at ground.news/Steve. So, for example, we could see that there are over 600 articles on a recent story asking who won the Harris-Trump presidential debate. Now, if we look at the coverage details and bias distribution, we could see which news sources cover this story along with a breakdown of the political leaning of the outlets reporting. So 41% of the sources reported are from left-leaning sources, while just 22% are from sources that lean right. And then we can compare the headlines from each side. So the left doesn't even hide their bias, reporting that Harris won the debate and it wasn't even close. While this headline from an outlet that leans right calls out the biased moderators from ABC. Interesting how outlets on the left completely ignore the moderators' bias against Trump. Now, my favorite feature is the blind spot feed. I use it so I won't miss out on any important stories covered by just one side of the political spectrum, and it helps me make sure I'm getting a balanced view of the news. Just go to ground.news/Steve, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. Using my link gets you 40% off the Vantage plan. That's the same plan I have for unlimited access to all their features. Click on that link below right now. As you all know, one of the telltale signs that things didn't go so well for Kamala in that debate last week was that minutes after it ended, pop star Taylor Swift came out and gave her enthusiastic endorsement of Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Now, who I am increasingly convinced that guy just ain't mentally well. There is something seriously wrong with that guy, but I digress. Now, of course, the media not only loved how Kamala performed at the debate, but they were ecstatic over this endorsement. They were saying, this is a major game changer for this election. This was going to drive the young vote like never before. You just watch. Well, we are watching, and the whole thing, frankly, is embarrassingly hilarious. A new poll just came out showing that Taylor Swift's endorsement actually turns more voters away than it attracts. A study from YouGov found that just 8% of voters said that Taylor Swift's endorsement is either somewhat or much more likely to convince them to vote for Cackle's Kamala. A whopping 20% said that they're somewhat or much less likely to vote for Kamala as a result of this endorsement. Not surprisingly, 66%, the vast majority could care less. They said the endorsement made absolutely no difference whatsoever on their choice. So once again, the legacy media is eating crow, demonstrating to all just how out of touch they are with mainstream opinion. Now, we could have told the legacy media that. The fact of the matter is Taylor Swift endorsed Hillary Clinton. It didn't matter. She endorsed Biden. It didn't matter. He barely squeaked by with 40,000 votes. I mean, the simple fact of the matter is endorsements generally don't matter. But the legacy media cares very little about news and facts. They instead care about narrative and fabrication. And the Taylor Swift endorsement pushed the narrative that Kamala was the second coming of Obama. She's the single most exciting popular personality on the planet, and the pop stars are all aligning, from Swift to Oprah Winfrey to champion this new chapter in humanity's hope. But as I'm sure you've guessed, no one's buying it. We've been pointing out on this channel over the last week or so, voting has already started. It's already started in parts of the country like Florida and North Carolina. And the inconvenient truth here is that there's simply no Democrat enthusiasm for Kamala. It doesn't exist anywhere near the way it existed back in 2008. I'll be talking about this in our next video with the polling that we have. In fact, in the early voting in both North Carolina and Florida, it's the Republican enthusiasm that's through the roof. Republicans have posted significant gains in vote-by-mail requests since 2020, all the while Democrat requests are down across the board. But again, the legacy media doesn't care about news. They only care about narrative. So, sorry, Taylor, it looks like you're actually doing more harm than good for this pathetic campaign that you've endorsed. Now, turning to that debate, we reported last week that an affidavit was set to be dropped from an ABC News whistleblower, claiming he has evidence that the Kamala Harris campaign received questions ahead of time and that the debate was deliberately directed by the Harris campaign itself. Well, it appears that affidavit is dropped. A whistleblower from someone claiming to be a whistleblower from ABC News has sworn under penalty of perjury that the Kamala Harris campaign did indeed receive questions ahead of time and directed the debate. It's from someone, it's been redacted, we don't know who, but it's from someone who claims to have worked at ABC News for the last 10 years, and that he or she does confirm that the Harris campaign was provided with sample questions that, while not the exact questions, covered similar topics that would appear during the debate, and that President Trump would indeed be fact-checked, all the while Kamala would not be, and that there were unethical discussions with the Harris campaign on how the debate would be conducted in such a way that benefits them, and of course in such a way that excluded the Trump team. Now, of course, if this turns out to be true, this would not be the first time this has happened. Back in 2016, the former Democrat operative turned CNN commentator Donna Brazile leaked debate questions to the Clinton campaign prior to one of the CNN debates with her and Trump. A number of very prominent people, such as Elon Musk and billionaire Bill Ackman, a former Democrat who's now renounced the Democrat Party, they're all calling on ABC and Disney executives, Disney owns ABC, to come clean with what they know based on these allegations. The allegations do substantively match what took place during the debate. The moderators were obviously biased towards Kamala and biased against Trump. He was obviously treated with a skeptical scrutiny that was waived for Kamala, and they need to come clean and explain that. At the same time, Kansas Senator Roger Marshall has announced a congressional inquiry into the debate. A formal letter has been sent to both ABC and the Harris campaign demanding all correspondence, records, political coordination between the two parties ahead of Tuesday's debate. This is following calls even from the former Clinton advisor, a Democrat, Mark Penn, for an investigation into the way in which ABC and the Harris campaign appeared to collude together to rig the debate in Harris's favor. Regardless, I think the damage has already been done. I think it's absolutely essential for us to understand that ABC News basically destroyed whatever semblance of credibility the legacy media had prior to the debate, ABC News representing the whole of the legacy media. Every single study over the last 20 years has shown that our trust and confidence in the legacy media has absolutely imploded over the course of those 2 decades. And that debate only further corroborated that diminishing trust. Given that the business model for the legacy media is actually grounded in trust and confidence, we can expect to see the audience for the legacy media just continue to comparably shrink. You can't present yourself as a reliable mediator of information when that reliability has been so irrevocably soiled as it was in that debate. So while I'm certainly very interested and curious as to the effects of this affidavit and congressional investigation, in many ways, the legacy media has already sealed their own fate. The days of the legacy media have indeed come to an end, and I have no doubt that the presidential debates of the future will only further underscore that demise.